Thank you so much. That was wonderful. That was beautiful. Good evening. Happy holidays and happy holy days. This night is a holy night because each night is a holy night and each moment is a holy moment. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of McHenry, the Tree of Life UU congregation. My name is Chaplain Dave Becker, and before we begin, this is a good time, if you haven't already, to make sure that your electronic devices are silenced, the annual opening ritual of our times. And it's a pleasure to be with all of you here tonight as we celebrate and honor everything that this time of year and that Christmas means to each of us. This season of light comes each year with different and mutually enriching stories of hope during the longest nights for many varied traditions. And our human experience is made richer by each. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever you believe, we welcome you here with gladness. It's truly a joy to be together tonight, filling this place with holiday cheer. Whether you're with us from down the street or across the country, in person or online, welcome. Whether you're here every Sunday, once or twice a year, or here this evening for the very first time, we're glad to have you here. Welcome. As a community, we value and encourage the connections that we make with one another. And so I'd like to take a moment, if we could, to have the tech team, if the folks that are online would be willing to turn on your camera if you choose, and we'll have a view of the folks online, and we'll have a view of. Do you have anybody that would like to be introduced? And that's totally optional.
I would like to introduce Josh Becker. I think you know him.
He sounds vaguely familiar. Yeah, this is my son Josh. I'm so glad to have you here tonight, buddy. Any other introductions? All right. Well, let us begin this evening with a reading by Gwen Matthews, a reminder that you are the holiday miracle. We are all the holiday miracle. As December opens up before us, we welcome in the gift of reflection. We turn toward our holiday celebrations and search for common threads of meaning. We begin with Yule, the winter solstice, and we are invited to explore duality, cycles, and seasons, and to witness the holly king being overcome by the oak king. Yule reminds us that we all partake in the miracle of renewal. Hanukkah, the festival of lights, commemorates a time of miracles when the faith of the Jewish people sustained them to reclaim their holy temple and keep the light of the menorah burning for 8 days. Christmas, the celebration of Jesus' humble birth in a manger, offers us to revisit the miracle of birth and the desire to find saviors to heal the scars of humanity. Here in our church, you are just as much a holiday miracle as the turning of the earth, as persistent and dedication to a faith as the creation of a new life. We see the love that you give others, the space you create to hold one another's joys and sorrows, and the generosity and spirit you entrust to this community. You are the holiday miracle. This community is one of miracle makers. Come, let us worship together.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sue McCowan, and I'm going to read The Solstice Teaches Us by the Reverend David Breeden. The solstice teaches us that darkness comes, that darkness goes. The solstice teaches us that light comes, that light goes. The solstice teaches us calmly, silently, to be calm, silent, learning. The solstice teaches us, as we circle the sun, that everything flies. The solstice teaches us to remember the dark, to remember the light, to remember time, the seasons, and love as we circle the sun. And now, please rise and body your spirit as you are able, and join us in singing our first hymn of the night, number 235, Deck the Halls, and will be led by our own Lisa Messenger on the piano.
The Jewish celebration of Hanukkah begins tomorrow evening at sundown and continues for 8 days. Each night, another candle is lit on the menorah, placed here in our shared sanctuary in honor of this sacred holiday. On Hanukkah by Rabbi Amichai Lau-Lavi. We light candles on Hanukkah as a human act of resilience, to pause, to get lost in the flames for only a few minutes so that we're not in this time, but that we are in mythic time. We are in the big time. The arc of history is long. I believe the arc of justice is bending where we want it to bend, toward justice for all. But it is long. And right now we feel small. So being lost inside the flames is a way to be found within the longer arc of the possible. Our chalice reading this evening, This Night of Mystery by Linda Hart. We kindle a small flame in the dark of the year, remembering the promise of life abundant, of a possible peace. We pause on this night of mystery to tell the stories, to sing the songs, and to bring more light into the world. We're going to have our own miracle here in a second. I can't, not just, I just couldn't get my finger in there.
You are not alone.
I am not alone.
Lighting the Advent Wreath at Christmas, adapted from the Reverend Erica Hewitt. With each candle of the Advent wreath, we're leaning in expectation into all that is being born in us at this holy time of the year, when the unknown lies before us, rich with possibility. First, we light the candle of hope, for that which is best in us to rise and to enliven our souls and our relationships. The second candle we light is for peace, for the courage to soften what is rigid in our hearts, to find the soft spot and stay with it.
We light the third candle in the name of joy. Joy in the shape of gratitude for all that is our life, and joy in expectation of the world that we are building and creating with one another. The fourth candle is lit in the name of love, as the creating force in our lives.
Finally, we light the central candle, the candle of faith, the light that shines in bleak places with the full power of our faith. We know, says the Reverend Bill Sinkford, how real the brokenness of the world is, but we will not give brokenness the last word. May this light bear our hopes as well as our faith in love, in goodness, in compassion, and in justice. Please rise as you're willing and able to sing Angels We Have Heard on High. We'll sing verses 1 and 2.
Echoing
you. This next poem is by Paul Oakley. It's called To Be the Angel. North, south, east, and west, angel visible ahead of me. Angels hidden by forests around me, and everywhere, God. Angels created by our ingenuity, desire, and prayers. Angels imagined in concrete absence and a deep stirring call to me, to us, to be the angel. To be the angels the world needs. To be the angel the person near us needs. To give the message of hope. To stay the hand of carelessness or evil. God, when the hill we are climbing in the snow at the end of a long day shows us no angel towering over forest and freeway, embolden us. Grant us strength of resolve. Teach us to be messengers of peace, bearers of good tidings, protectors of those unable to protect themselves, people who create a path of security and sufficiency. There are angels among us every day. They're right here around us. We have within us what Abraham Lincoln called the better angels of our nature. It is we who must do the work of angels. It is we who must be the angels among us. When you arrived this evening, you received a white feather. So please take that feather out. If you didn't get a feather, let us know and we'll bring one to you. Is there anybody who didn't get a feather? Raise your hand and we'll make sure you have one. Did anybody need a feather? All right, everybody's got one. Ooh, we did good. So hold that feather. And as you hold that feather in front of you, we recall in our memory the stories of the angels that appear throughout the Christmas stories written in the biblical books of Matthew and Luke. When angels appeared to Zechariah, to Elizabeth, to Mary, to Joseph, to shepherds in the field, their messages and songs of hope, peace, joy, and love began with a simple phrase: be not afraid. Be not afraid. So I invite you to turn and face someone near you. Look each other eye to eye and exchange feathers. And as you do, say, be not afraid. Be not afraid. One more time, I ask you to look, find somebody different, somebody near you. Look each other in the eye, exchange feathers, and say, be not afraid. Be not afraid. And one last time. One last time. Find another person. Exchange feathers. And let them know, be not afraid. Be not afraid. Not afraid. This evening as you leave, which later, not right now. Take your feather with you. Keep it somewhere where it can remind you that we are surrounded by angels. There are angels among us. They're right here. It's we who do the work of angels. In a culture of fear, we are able to bring more hope, more peace, more joy, and more love into the world. Be not afraid.
As the Magi of old came to offer gifts to Mary, Joseph, and their newborn child, every Christmas Eve we offer gifts of love and support to our community by taking a collection for the minister's discretionary fund. It is from the minister's discretionary fund that the community, both within and outside of our walls, can access financial help and temporary support. Please reach out to Chaplain Dave if you have a need. For those of you in the sanctuary, please place your offering in the plate. For those of you joining us online, you may make your offering in one of 3 ways which are listed on your screen. Where are you? Your generosity to the Tree of Life is greatly appreciated. We thank you for these gifts and for all the gifts that you share.
The hymn we sing for So the Children Come is in the teal hymnal. It's hymn number 1061. We'll also show the chorus up on the slides. It is based on a poem written by a Unitarian Universalist religious educator, Sophia Faz, and it's really just a beautiful poem. She was years ahead of her time, and this poem reminds us of the sacredness of each child, each and every child. And so since then it's been set to music. Freddie will read the verses, and then we have Joyce Messinger, Terry Tooker, and Judy Stetner, and Beth Hoover, who are going to lead the chorus. So the first 2 times, the quartet will lead the chorus, and then we'll join in the last 2 times. Freddie will give us a cue. If you have the teal hymnal, some of the words have been adopted and changed over time in order to be more inclusive and use non-binary language.
For so the children come, and so they've been coming, always in the same way they come, born of the womb and born of the universe. No angels herald their beginnings. No prophets predict their future courses. No wise men see a star to show where to find the babe that will save humankind. Please join in singing. Yet each night a child is born is a holy night. Parents, sitting beside their children's cribs, feel glory in the sight of a new life beginning. They ask, where and how will this new life end, or will it ever end?
Tonight, everyone is displaced and homeless. Tonight, everyone searches for Bethlehem. On this night, when the darkness comes so close, we listen in the stillness for the songs of angels. Like shepherds, we aren't too sure what is happening. We don't know why we are so expectant. We don't know why we long so deeply for miracles. Tonight, we pray that we might know the one we are seeking. Tonight, may we kneel like kings before that which is greater than any kingdom on earth. Tonight, may we see the Holy Family that we are a part of. And may we hear the music that reminds us of our truest home. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 246 in the great hymnal, O Little Town of Bethlehem. We're going to do verses 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Chances are, at some time in our lives, we've heard some version of the story of Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus. A baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, born in a manger, of angels visiting shepherds and filling the skies with song. Of Mary and Joseph traveling to Bethlehem and finding no place to stay, no room in the inn. Of Magi following a bright star in the sky and bringing gifts. Of a holy family fleeing danger, a family in exile and seeking refuge. Of a young mother who holds these things in her heart and who sings a powerful song of resilience and even rebellion for a world in need of change. This version of the Nativity story is just one of many versions told over time, told within different communities and told in different ways. We may not be aware that this particular version is a blending of elements from two different stories, from two different books found in the library of books commonly referred to as the Bible. And I invite you sometime, if you're interested, to read the story in the biblical books dedicated to Matthew and to Luke. And you'll notice that they are two very different versions of the story. In Matthew, the Magi travel to visit Jesus, but there's no mention of the shepherds. In Luke, it's the shepherds who visit Jesus, but there's no mention of the Magi. In Matthew, there's no angels in the night sky. Jesus is born in a house, not a stable. And Mary and Joseph do not travel to Bethlehem, as they've been there all along. And those are just a few of the differences. And those differences make sense because those stories were told and written from two different communities from two different times. They didn't copy each other. And these aren't the only two versions of the story. There are books that were left out either because they were unknown or because they were banned. I'm personally a bit fascinated with the banned book of James, in which Jesus is born in a cave outside of Bethlehem, and it's a midwife that proclaims the child's glory and divinity. But each is a story of great love and of a new peace which will change the world. No matter the details in each story, the holy and the divine is found in very human, humble, and lowly circumstances. It is a story told with reverence and with spiritual depth and meaning that continues to be passed on from generation to generation. Tidings of comfort and of joy. It's a story that touches our heart and touches our spirit. And when we use our historic and prophetic imagination, it's a story that calls to our conscience. While the details are different, there's an underlying message that was radical at the time. You see, biographies that were written at that time were often teaching stories, not meant to be a literal history, but inspiration for how to be in the world. And at a time when the phrase good news was used to proclaim Pax Romana, the peace of Rome, peace through imperialism and conquest, these biographies of Jesus were claimed and proclaimed as good news. Gospel, meaning good news. These are stories of resilience and liberation written by an oppressed and occupied people. At a time when dissent was crushed in the name of peace, and at a time when the Roman emperor was proclaimed to be the divine incarnation of God, to be obeyed and worshiped, a different good news was proclaimed, at great risk to those writing, telling, and living the story. Good news that proclaimed a different type of peace, a peace based in love, not in conquest. Good news that proclaimed divinity did not lie within the emperor. It lived and was born among the poor, the dispossessed, the marginalized. A story that said, "We see you, Emperor, and you are a human who has lost sight of your own humanity and the humanity of others. You are not worthy of our worship. We have found divinity with us and among us. Emmanuel, God is with us. That which is divine and holy exists where you don't even care to look. We see you. And we see one another with love." And so the story continues to live on. It lives on in those who reclaim the story and ask us to acknowledge and see that the artistic images that portray Jesus with white Western European features are at best historically inaccurate and at worst an intentional lie meant to reinforce outdated notions about where the sacred should be found. It lives on in our spiritual and theological relatives who create new images of Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. Mary, Joseph, and Jesus separated from one another and surrounded by cages. Perhaps you've seen churches that have done that. Or Mary, Jesus, and Joseph surrounded by barbed wire. Or a baby laying not in a manger, but in rubble. Reminders that the nativity story continues to be relived in real time. We can still see the divine and the holy where our modern day emperors choose not to look or even recognize as human. The story lives on. It calls to our heart, it calls to our spirit, and it calls to our conscience. This night is a holy night. Each night is a holy night. We can see the sacred and the divine in a child born so long ago and in the family that loved him. And we see the sacred and divine in each child and in each person. And seeing this, feeling this, knowing this, we are called to respond with loving compassion and loving justice. What will our story be? What is the good news that we will create in the world around us? How will we bring peace, hope, and joy? I invite us to rise in body and our spirit as we sing together hymn number 245, Joy to the World.
Whoever you are, wherever you go, may you know the stillness of winter and the call to love. May you see the moon silvering the night sky, and let the dark of midnight plunge you into your truest self and fling you back out again to a world in need of who you are. May there be the familiar carols you know by heart and new melodies to set you free. May there be feasting and frolicking, kindness and wonderment. And may there be wise people to follow a star in the east and a child to teach us to love, and enough magic to let the imagination go wild, to let Christmas arrive with its enchantments, with its glitter, glow, and gold, to let what wants to be born break through. May the presence of the holy crowd out the fear, hate, and worry, and proclaim in this moment that peace and goodwill might yet be breathed into the world, and the vow that we too can give birth to love wherever we go, whoever we are.
Thank you. Our last carol of the night will be Silent Night, which we will sing by candlelight. At the beginning, we were passing out candles. Is there anybody who didn't get a candle who needs one? Oh, we better. We got you. Is there anybody, we were also passing out battery-operated candles for anybody who just doesn't feel comfortable with flame, or you'd prefer that somebody you're with has a battery-operated candle. Does anybody need a battery-operated candle that didn't get one? So we have one battery-operated candle over here for someone who needs one. Great. So, just a couple things to be aware of. I'd invite you, the hymn Silent Night, it's in 251 in the gray hymnal. We'll also have the images on the screen. But if you like to have the hymnal, you might want to open it before you light your candle, so you're not trying to open the book with your lit candle. So have that ready. A couple things to know with the candle is that you always want to have the unlit candle being the one that goes to the flame, not the flame to the unlit candle. So as we pass it, will always be the person who has the unlit candle that will reach into the flame. And we just ask that you be aware. Hold the candle steady, keep it away from any loose clothing, keep it away from anybody's hair that's near you. Just be aware of where the flame is. If you'd like to stand, you can. If you feel more comfortable and sturdy sitting, that's fine too. We're going to go ahead and start passing the flame. If I can walk without putting it out. Invited to either stand or sit as we sing.
Holy night, all is
invite us to just hold still for a little bit. If you'd like to look around, see the faces of the people in this room, take in the warmth and the love of this community, and consider these words, this blessing. The Spirit of the Holy dwells in each of us. The Spirit of love dwells in each of us. May the flames in our hands remind us that eternal love dwells in our hearts. May the flames in our hands remind us that the Spirit of life dwells among us as we gather as a faith community. May the flames in our hands remind us that the arc of the universe needs our embodied love and faith to bend towards justice. If we could please raise the lights. I'll do that. Actually, I meant the house lights, but this is nice. That was nice too. That was nice too. But if we could get our room lights turned back on gradually so that our eyes can adjust to the light. And we'll take a moment to extinguish these flames together. We extinguish these flames and now carry the light within us, and we carry its warmth to all we meet. You may have a seat. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I want to thank everybody who was just part of this service, our musicians, our readers. Not to put anybody on the spot, but Lisa's parents didn't know that they were going to sing till they showed up tonight, which is sometimes the way that it goes. It's just lovely. It's lovely to have this time together. There's a closing benediction, and our postlude is a video by Ron Relic. Have yourself a Merry Christmas. This closing reading is a short excerpt from a poem by Walt Whitman called Miracles. Why, who makes much of a miracle? As to me, I know of nothing else but miracles. To me, every hour of the light and the dark is a miracle. Every cubic inch of space is a miracle. Every square yard of the surface of the earth is spread with the same. Every foot of the interior swarms with the same. As we close our worship and I extinguish our chalice, we carry the warmth and light of this community with us always. Go in peace. Go and make peace, dear angels among us. Ron will have our postlude.
Christmas future is far away. Christmas past is past. Christmas present is here today, bringing joy that will last. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself Make your Yuletide gay. Next year all our troubles will be miles away. Once again, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore, faithful friends who were dear to us will be near to us once more. Someday soon we all will be together if the fates allow. Until then we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Someday soon we all will be together if the fates allow. Until then we'll have to muddle through somehow. So